morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning, Randy.
So, about 3 years ago, I was sitting in this room, minding my own business, eating my Rotary breakfast, when the new fire chief came into the room to introduce himself. And as I'm sitting there spooning in eggs, he said that he was shy a board seat for the North Arcata Fire Protection District is set up in the different divisions. And he's looking around the room and he goes, "You." Anyway, he knew where I lived. So I ended up becoming a board member on his board, the Arcata Fire Protection District, and it's sort of become my Rotary Super Committee since then. So walking in the door, they said, "Well, guess what? You know, we have a budget shortfall. We have a terrible budget deficit." Well, I just left a budget deficit from when I was with the city. And it's like, oh no. So long story short, I said, well, I'm not going for any tax initiative. I've lived in Arcata for 40 years. I'm not going to go for a tax initiative until, you know, you can prove to me that everything is in order. And I'll tell you, the last 3 years, our Fire Chief, McDonald, he's done an exceptional job. The board's done an exceptional job. And I can look at you all in the eye and say that the Arcata Fire Protection District is completely transparent. Every penny is accounted for. And we are in desperate need to keep open a fire station, to not close it. So this morning, Justin is going to talk about Measure R, which is the tax initiative to basically save, R for rescue, to save the Arcata Fire Protection District from having to lay off firefighters and closing the station. So brief bio for Justin. He's a 5th generation Humboldt County native. He's been with Arcata Fire since 1994. Started as a volunteer firefighter and worked 7 years later. Started 7 years later with the career firefighter staff. His roots in the community run deep. His great uncle, Rollo Guthridge, sat on the district board many years in the late 70s. His dad, Dennis McDonald, became a board member shortly after he joined as a volunteer in the late 90s. His brother Ross was a volunteer and is now a career captain in the Fire Protection District. And he's held every position in the volunteer organization, and from the ranks and engineer, fire captain, to the battalion chief officer and operations assistant chief. And in 2016, he tested and became the 33rd fire chief of the Arcata Fire Protection District for the organization, which is 136 years old. I'm talking fast. Justin, take it away.
Just down arrow goes.
Down arrow, you have the red arrow.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks, Randy. And I think you were sitting in the same spot when I It was good. I started as a 19-year-old parking officer, and Randy was my boss. We just come full circle. Randy's my boss again. Oh, right? So I'm here to talk about Measure R, but I'm going to do a real quick speed talk on who we are. Because the one thing that we found as we got out in the community that we have two really big misnomers. One is the name of our organization, Arcata Fire District, and the other misnomer is the name of the title that we wear as firefighters. So hopefully we can kind of clear that up real quick, and then we'll go to what Measure R is. That's the right button. There we go. We'll get that one. The fire district is a single-purpose special district, and it's independent of the county of Humboldt, and Karen can attest, we're independent of the city of Arcata, meaning I don't get money from the city manager's office through the general budget. Same thing with the county. We have 5 elected board members that each represent a populous area of our fire district. And we're here to provide critical emergency life-saving fire protection services to the 5 main communities that we represent: McKinneyville, Manila, Bayside, Jacoba Creek, and the city of Arcata. The fire department started in 1884. We burned the town down. The community went, this is not a good idea. So a bunch of local folks got together and started their bucket brigade. Kind of disbanded, took a couple times, the town burned down a couple times, and finally the volunteer fire department stuck. In about 1944, the fire district came into existence because the city volunteer fire department was starting to provide fire service to outside the city limits, which is not good for city. So the fire district came into existence, and we kind of ran co-fire departments at the same time until about 1974, when the city of Arcata said, hey, you know what, you guys are doing a bang-up job. It's all you, and the city got out of the fire business. So from about 70s, the fire district, Arcata Fire District, has been here to provide fire protection and emergency services. Who are we? This one has a lot of clicks. Let's get down. This is my organization. One fire chief, that's me, and then everything else, our on-duty staffing is divisible by 3. We're a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365-day operation. We run 3 shifts, 48 hours on, 96 hours off, in a perfect world. When we're at minimum staffing like we are now, the schedule is actually flip-flop. I have people working 72-hour shifts, upwards of 96-hour shifts, and 2 days off. So 18 career firefighters, again, cut that into 3, that's our shifts. 3 battalion chiefs, those are our shift supervisors. In law enforcement world, that's the watch commander, that's the person in charge, the supervising officer. 1 full-time business manager, and we have 3 part-time prevention staff. I can't afford full-timers, part-timers are cheap. 1 is our fire marshal, and we have 2 inspectors who are out doing our state-mandated inspections for apartment complexes. The state of California mandates certain inspections. Apartment complexes are 1. We have over 4,000 individual apartment units in our fire district. We're a college town. We've got a lot of apartment complexes. That's what those 2 inspectors are out there doing. Every year we have to get out and inspect those properties. As far as the volunteers, we have 15 volunteers, 4 are volunteer firefighters, 11 are logistics volunteers. Logistics volunteers are community members that want to help, they don't want to do the dangerous stuff, and they don't want to put the time in to be in volunteers. A volunteer firefighter takes upwards of about 200 to 400 hours to get your basic training done. On top of that, you need your emergency medical training. That's another 150 hours through CR or Humboldt State. So that's your first year. And then we require time to come in and train and time to come in and be on the engine. It's a huge time commitment. We recruited out of Humboldt State. We got in 50 students that would come in. They thought it was great until they saw the fine print and what was required. They went, oh my God, this is way too much. Our average lifespan of a volunteer in the organization has got down to 1.5 years. Our investment doesn't return until 3 years. Your first year, you're so new, you don't know what you're doing. You're kind of in the training. Your second year, we're really honing the skills. By 3rd year, you're going good. 1.5, they're in, they're out, and it's Groundhog's Day, if you will. The 2 firefighter interns, this is a new program, fire academies. They pump out graduates. One thing they need to get their firefighter certificate is experience. I've got experience waiting for people. So we have 2 firefighter interns. They come fully trained. All they need is my signature on their experience card. So after 6 months, they get their experience. I actually worked out well because our very first intern, I hired him. It's a training program. Hey, you want a job? I know you get along, so it worked out really well. Our daily staffing, 1 duty chief, 1 of these 3 battalion chiefs, 6 firefighters spread out through our fire district, 62 square miles, and we have 3 stations, the Arcata Station, Mad River Station, and the McKinleyville Station. There you go. This is our team. So we're not fire engines, we're not brand new fire stations. Thank you, by the way, to your club for all your help over the years to get our fire station built. This is our team. These are the folks that roll out to go on the emergencies. These are the folks that show up at 2 in the morning. Not a one can you tell, are they volunteer or are they career, right? We all dress the same, we all look the same. This is one of my #1 volunteers. This is David Howard. He's been with our organization about 9 years. He's a 7th grade elementary school teacher out of Freshwater. He's doing the job just like Angie, our first paid female firefighter. She's now a fire captain in our organization. Mr. Photogenic, Sean Campbell, one of our battalion chiefs. I equate our crew, and it's a little, I had to prop them up a little bit. This is infrastructure. The people are the infrastructure. If you don't have the people to go on the calls, it's no different than the sidewalks, it's no different than street lights, it's no different than the pipes that bring you water. If you don't have good infrastructure in your community is going to start falling apart. We have to have good infrastructure. We have to have firefighters to go on calls to help out. So I really think that our essential services, these folks are the infrastructure, hugely critical. The other the misnomer that we've talked about is the 5 communities that we serve. We're more than Arcata. I can't tell you how many times we've been out to Manila and they're like, what's Arcata doing here? And we're up in McKinleyville and they go, where's the McKinleyville Fire Department? That's us. 5 communities, McKinleyville, Manila, Arcata, Bayside, Jacoby Creek. We got a new little moniker, 531. 5 communities, 3 fire stations, 1 district. So trying to incorporate that. The name change is expensive, redoing the logo is not, and trying to get that information out to folks is what we're working on. This is our fire district, one of the largest fire districts in the county, 62 square miles. We go from Indianola all the way up to Clam Beach, in between the 2 parking lots of Clam Beach. Halfway out to Blue Lake, and in Manila we go all the way over where the bridge hits the sand on the other side. That's our fire district. South of that is Sonoma. So we have a vast area. We have a hospital, the county commercial airport, Humboldt State University, about 37,000 residents in our fire district. So it's a pretty diverse area that we represent and that we cover. Misnomer number 1, more than just Arcata, our 5 communities that we represent. The other misnomer is our mission, our name, firefighters. Back in the old days, that's all we did. We went out and put out fires. We have changed a lot since then. Calls for service has nearly doubled in the last 2 decades. 1996, that date I'll come back to in a minute. We did 1,232 incidents. In 2006, another significant date, 1,750. And then when I made the PowerPoint, we didn't have the 19 stats yet. In 2018, we have over 3,357 incidents. So what is going on? This number, 1996, was when the community passed our first special tax. It was roughly $300,000. There's no inflation factor on that tax. It's about $350,000, 300 to 350. It's not that much. In 2006 was the next time that the fire district got a benefit assessment passed. That one came in, it was about $1.9 million. Our call volume since then has ballooned, and that's partly because our community is changing, it's increasing, the population has increased, more densities. We do more than fight fires. We respond to life-threatening medical emergencies, vehicle accidents, hazmat spills, alarm activations, lift assist. The other things that we do, aside from going on emergency runs, are public education, safety inspections, and many other public service needs. A couple things to touch on real quick. Everybody's like, what's a lift assist? This is, help, I've fallen and I can't get up. This, I mean, you hear it about the lifeline. Well, they don't tell you on the other end of the lifeline who comes out and helps you. If you don't have a family member that can help you, or if your family member is not able to help you, you call 911. Fire department is tasked with coming out there and helping people back up. Put them in bed, put them back in their chair. Vehicle accidents. Well, I get the question all the time, why is the fire engine always coming on vehicle accidents? There's, you don't need to go there. You're coming on EMS calls. Why are you doing that? Little known fact, there are 2 ambulances on duty for the north part of the county, from Indianola to the county line at Del Norte, halfway to Willow Creek. 2 ambulances. I have 3 fire stations strategically located throughout our fire district. Our average response time is about 5 minutes. We are seeing now ambulances taking longer to get to our area. They're coming out of Eureka. So if you're having an emergency, somebody there within 5 minutes or somebody there within 10 or 15 minutes. So that's the point, is we are first responders to get there first. Car accidents, we're the ones that have the specialized tools, the jaws of life, to cut the car apart, to get people out of the car. We see 2 things. Cars nowadays are great. They get mashed up, you roll up and you're like, oh my God, it's terrible. Everybody gets out, seat belts and airbags. Conversely, when the people don't get out, the cars are so mangled up, it takes us to use those specialized tools to get the people out. So specialized tools that we have, those are the calls. Public education, our firefighters are out in the schools educating the school kids on 911, on what to do in case of a fire, in case of emergency. Safety inspections. Our engine companies, I've got our crews going out into the community. It's not an enforcement action, but we're looking at kind of just the generalized public safety. Our exits locked, our fire extinguishers charged, their sprinkler systems been serviced, all those other public safety needs. The other big one that we've been working on, we've been working hand in hand with law enforcement on active shooter. Everybody thinks, oh my God, it's not going to happen. And bang, just the other day we had something back in Milwaukee. I mean, it's craziness. We just purchased bulletproof vests for our firefighters. I've been in this job for 27 years. And I'm like, what is this world coming to? But it's just part of, we got to be safe so that we can go in there and help folks out. A little bit more on our call volume. 46% of what we do is rescue and EMS. 5% is fires. 25% are service calls. This is when you call 911, they ask you really what's your emergency. If it's not law enforcement driven, and you don't need an ambulance to take you to the hospital, most of the time it's the fire department that gets tasked with coming out and helping. We are, for lack of a better term, we're professional problem solvers, and the big red fire engine is a toolbox on wheels. So when somebody's having an issue, somebody's having a bad day, they call 911. We'll roll out, we'll help out, we'll at least get them pointed in the right direction, and you know, we've had water pipes burst, we can help start sucking up water, and then you can get a plumber to come out and start helping you. So 2 misnomers, again, our name and the title that we wear. Yeah, we're firefighters, but we're more of that community safety professional is probably a better term for who we are. What is Major R? It's a special tax proposed by the fire district. Screaming right up next week. It'll be on the March ballot. Unique thing about a special tax, it requires 2/3 majority vote. The general tax, much like Measure Z that the county put out, required 50%. It can be used for anything that the county sees fit. Because this is specifically for fire protection and emergency services, it requires a 2/3 majority vote. This tax will replace the 1997 tax that's currently on people's tax bill, and it would generate $2.2 million. That's overall. What we're asking for a Major R is about a $1.9 million increase, and I'll get to that in a minute. The other thing that we found out, taxpayers want control over their tax dollars. So our previous 2 taxes that we had were open-ended. There was no cost of living adjustments on it, but they were open-ended. The things that we saw and the feedback that we got, people want to be able to hold us accountable to our actions and the tax dollars. So it's coming with a 10-year sunset clause. If we didn't do what we said, in 10 years the community has the ability to say, we're not funding this, and you got to do it again. What's the purpose? Well, ultimately the purpose is so we can respond quickly to emergencies, but we do that by, amazing, Major R matches up with our 3 bullet points. Retain 2 firefighters on duty at our 3 stations and 1 battalion chief supervisor. It'll restore 3 frozen vacant positions. We currently have 3 positions that we have frozen due to no funds to pay them. And we're losing people. In fact, I'm losing 3 more. This month I had a retirement and 2 firefighters are leaving the area. Economic instability in our organization tends to make people a little antsy, and poof, off they go to find jobs elsewhere. So right now I have 3. At the end of this week, I'll have 2 more vacant positions. The other thing we've done, the board, as Randy said, I was tasked with trying to get us back into the black. The board had opted not to do layoffs at that point. What we were doing was pulling money out of our contingency funds, which is our vehicle replacement and major repair funds. We've taken that out, so I have very little money to deal with repair and replacement. For example, our ladder truck had an issue with the stabilizers that make the platform go flat when you're up in the air. It was a $16,000 expenditure. It's one of those pieces of equipment you gotta have. It's $1 million, and when you need it, you really need it. And you have to repair it. And anything that says fire or rescue is frightfully expensive to deal with on repairs. Our justification, it's been 13 years since the district secured an increase in funding back to that 2006 benefit assessment. Our two taxing mechanisms, the assessment and the tax, have no inflationary factors, and they really haven't grown that much. Because if it was a residential structure on the property when the tax was passed, that dollar amount stays the same for the last 13 years. The growth that we see is thanks to guys like Jim Furtado up in McKinneyville that are putting in neighborhoods. A horse pasture or a cow pasture that pays minimal turns into 50 houses. We'll see a little bit of growth there, and we see a little bit of growth on the county property tax. We get 6 cents for every $100 in value that the county collects from somebody's property tax. So we get about 1.2 roughly $1 million from the county property tax, and our special tax and whatnot generates another about $1.5 million. In an effort to prevent station closures and layoffs, our board has opted to reduce our operational expenditures for the last 3 fiscal cycles. And part of that was, again, like I said, we've deferred maintenance, we've pulled money out of our contingency funds to make sure that we can keep our stations open and staffed. This is the last fiscal cycle that we can do that. Our deficit this year, we projected about $250,000. We're upwards of about $270,000. So why are we asking for $2.2 million or $1.9 million increase? A fire station costs about $1.5 million to operate. So we're looking for a $1.9 million increase to cover that cost. And that little bit of a buffer is to start putting back into our vehicle replacement fund and our contingency fund. If the roof blows off of our Mad River station, it's going to be, tarps and buckets to hold the water. We just don't have that ability to take care of our infrastructure. Another little point to bring up is tax versus fire insurance. This has been an interesting thing over the last few years. We've had some major wildland fires, which has had impact on fire insurance in the state of California. What we're finding out is insurance companies don't want to insure people in California anymore. And they're looking for any reason to either jump ship, raise your rates, or not renew you. What we see is all the fire departments in California are graded by the Insurance Service Office. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best that you can be, 10 being you have no fire protection. If you are in the area that's 10, you get no fire insurance. 1 is LA City, LA County, big municipal department, lots of people, able to handle all their incidents. Our agency has been a 3, and the reason why we were a 3 is about 7 years ago, we received a couple federal grants that were able to bring our staffing up to the level that we have right now. The grants went away, the rules changed, they wanted more money as far as a grant match, we just couldn't do it. The fire district attempted Measure A didn't pass, and we're now doing that reboot. What we're trying to do is keep the staffing, because staffing equals a better grade from the insurance rating at a 3. If we lose our staffing, our fire department is going to be downgraded to a 4, possibly to a 5. That kind of a hit to the insurance grade is going to have a direct impact on people's fire insurance. What they're telling us is it's not going to be immediate, but you're going to see it down the road if you go to renew, or if you're trying to get new insurance, especially out in the more rural areas, the insurance companies may not do it. There is a fallback, it's called California Fair Plan. Nothing about it is fair. From what I could do my research to a couple of our local insurance agents, just for fire insurance portion alone, it's upwards of $900 to $8,000 for fire insurance only, and you still have to get your liability coverage. And it's essentially the equivalent to earthquake insurance. If you got to have it, you got to have it, and you pay for it, but it really is super expensive. So my point is, if we invest in our organization in the fire department, we can try to keep our grades, our rating from the Insurance Bureau the best that we can. so we can keep folks' fire insurance as low as possible. Again, I can't dictate what fire insurance premiums are going to do, but we can do everything we can to hold up our end of the bargain. And by doing so, it'll ultimately ensure that we have a rapid response for emergency medical and fire. So the big question is, what's it going to cost? Major R is based on a property use, and it's billed to the property owner. An empty lot for Major R is $30 annually, or $2.50 a month. For residents, Major R is $118. A rural residence is an area that is not protected by a fire hydrant. So if you live in an area that has greater than 700 feet distance to the fire hydrant, we have to bring specialty equipment. We have a giant water truck, brings 3,000 gallons of water along with our fire engines. It costs more to go deal with fires out in the rural area. It's $192 annually. Commercial properties are $546 annually. Again, commercial properties takes a lot more equipment to deal with a fire than a residential fire. Right across the way we have Big Blue Cafe. Holy cow. Every fire chief prior to me always talked about the east side of the plaza. It was the only side of the plaza that didn't have a fire. But it was also the only side of the plaza that had a big, huge common subfloor area. Ran from the mattress shop all the way down to Heartbeats. Wide open. On my watch, the call comes in, the Big Blue's on fire. I'm like, ooh, this is not good. Our track record for major fires in downtown Arcata has been a little wonky. Fireworker Building, Hensel's Ace Hardware, Environmental Center, that was my fire. I was on duty that night at the Mad River Station. Horrendous fires, burning to the ground, Barnes Drugs on the corner. Those properties sat vacant. Heck, the Environmental Center sat vacant for years. I'm not knocking a volunteer response. In the old days, 11th Street was like I-5, it was busy. It takes time. It takes 8 minutes, 9 minutes to get a crew staffed up and out the door to go on a fire. Since we've had staffing in downtown Arcata, we've been able to jump on fires like Big Blue Cafe. We got it early and got it out. The Arcata Presbyterian Church, the same thing. We had a fire on the exterior. If it would have taken 5 minutes to get there, the outcome would have been totally different. Tomo's Restaurant, a fire in around the fish tank. We were able to have crews in there within 2 minutes to put the fire out. So I'd like to think having available staff on duty ready to go makes a huge difference to put those, keep those fires in check. Major R would be in addition to our 2006 benefit assessment. So here's some quick math. 97 tax is $20 for a residence. If Major R goes through, it repeals the tax. We're keeping the same dollar amount, the 20. We're adding $98 to it. So it would become the $118 is what Major R is asking. Again, it's in addition to the 2006 benefit assessment, that's $88. So for a single family resident annually, it's $206 for fire protection. If you want to know more about what other properties, I have those and we can talk afterwards. Here's this in a nutshell. What happens if it fails? We go from 7 on duty, 6 firefighters and 1 chief officer, down to 4. It has the following effects. One of our 3 stations would close. 3 battalion chief positions are going to be eliminated, and 6 firefighter positions eliminated and employee layoffs. It's really easy to put it into pictures. This is our on-duty staffing right now. 2 on each fire engine, 1 chief officer. The industry standard, right across the bay at Humboldt Bay Fire, they have 3 people on each fire engine and a chief officer. The national standard, 4 people on a fire engine and a chief officer. I'm not asking for national. I'm not asking for what our neighbors have. I just want to keep what we have. Because if not, this is who's coming to your fire in downtown Arcata or downtown McKinneyville. This is not enough people to deal with. By the way, it takes 14 firefighters to deal with a simple residential structure fire. How do you get more information? Come to our website, www.arcatafire.org. Give me a call. As you can tell, I like to talk, sorry. Email me, or if you really want to get them, our 5 board members, first initial, last name at arcatafire.org. You all know Randy, you all know where to find him. Reach out. My goal with this is to present the information so when it comes time to vote, people make an educated decision. There's some misnomers out there that we can do it with volunteers, we can do it with a training center and all of that. I'd love to talk about it, but clock says we're out of time, Justin. Thank you very much. So.
Be available afterwards for questions.
Yeah.
On behalf of, or before presenting, on behalf of the Wheelchair Foundation, I'd like to present you a appreciation. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Awesome.